So I am messing around with this new Photoshop beta. You might have heard the Photoshop beta has this kind of a generative AI, artificial intelligence, that help you put stuff into pictures or edit out backgrounds or do fancy stuff. The pictures you see online are really cool. They'll put like the northern lights over New York City or something crazy like that. And I was interested in what it did for bees. And as you know, so I'll open up this picture of a flower that I have here. I just took this picture with my phone out in the yard of where I'm working. As you know, if you followed my channel, Bees in Your Backyard is interested in native bees. But so what you do here in this generative AI, I'm going to select the top of this flower, and I'm just going to tell it to add a bee to the flower. And if you know about AI, it gets trained on big data sets from the internet. And if you followed my channel, you know the internet is really focused on honeybees and often ignores the native bees. And that's what it looks like this AI Photoshop thing did. So that looks like a honeybee, kind of a weird stylized version of a honeybee, almost a cartoon sitting on the flower. Notice it also changed the flower, which is kind of cool. It put different stamens in here. What this AI in the Photoshop does is it gives you 3 options. So here's option 2, another version of a honeybee on there. And then option 3, this one is like super stylized honeybee. I can tell these are honeybees partly because of the coloration. It looks like a honeybee. Also the back legs, though. Back legs of honeybees don't have pollen collecting hairs called scopa. They have something called a corbicula, or a pollen basket. It's like a wide, flat, shiny area on the back legs. In the US, only honeybees and bumblebees have that, and the occasional orchid bee that comes up into Florida. But as you can see, there clearly is not scopa. It is a corbicula here on these 3 honeybees. So if I change this from add a bee to the flower, let's try putting add a native bee to the flower. Oops. Native bee to the flower. There we go. So now it's thinking it's going to save these 3 honeybees that it did right over here on the right hand side, and it is generating 3 new ones with a native bee. So let's check the first one. Also clearly a honeybee. You see the honeybee pattern on the abdomen, and you see the corbicula on the leg. Another honeybee, kind of stylized. This one actually has some pollen on it, so that's kind of cool, but it looks like it's in motion somehow. And then we have this one with 2, I'm going to call these 2 honeybees. This one's weird because it looks like it has 2 back legs. That looks like a back leg to me. That one has pollen on it. So native bee didn't work. What if we try wild bee? Add a wild bee to the flower, generate. So you can see that this AI is really focused on honeybees. Not necessarily a bad thing. Honeybees are important, but it is missing some of the diversity that's out there. Honeybees are less than 1% of bee diversity, not only in North America, but worldwide. So again, another honeybee, kind of a fuzzy one. This one is a cartoonish looking honeybee, and this one's still a honeybee. So what if we are more specific? So instead of a wild bee, let's tell it to add a carpenter bee. Carpenter, can't spell. Carpenter bees are in the West. They're big and they're black. They're really kind of noticeable, all shiny black. In the East, there's only 1 species of carpenter bee, or primarily 1 species most of the East. They are black and shiny, but their thorax is kind of blonde colored. So let's try making a carpenter bee out there. So when we ignore the bee diversity out there, we can be missing opportunities to protect bees. And so what we got here, this is not a carpenter bee, this is a bumblebee. Interesting stylized bumblebee, lots of hair on there. Another bumblebee is the second option. And the third one, ooh, that one's kind of funny. So if you've seen my other videos, and I can try to put some links here up in the top corner, this is actually a fly. How do I know it's a fly? Well, it has a big eye on the side of its head and little antennas. That is clearly a fly, except it does have honeybee legs. So that's kind of interesting that the AI did that. So it tried to put bumblebees instead of carpenter bees. Let's try asking it to make a bumblebee. Add a bumblebee to the flower. So bumblebees, I think, are probably the second most recognizable bees in North America. People know honeybees, but bumblebees are fuzzy and cute, so people often are aware of them too. So here's the first bumblebee, super long antennas on that one, so that's kind of weird. Here's another one. That's actually a pretty good looking bumblebee. I like the way that the AI did the hair on the abdomen. And then a third bumblebee. So it does bumblebees pretty well. What if let's just try one more just for fun. A sweat bee, S-W-E-A-T. Sweat bees are these small little ones, often metallic looking. They're pretty common, but most people don't recognize them as bees. I did a study with Olivia several years ago and we showed people pictures of insects and asked them to tell us which one was a bee. So this is a weird looking kind of bee-like creature. The front half of it looks kind of like a native bee, maybe a large Coplacana or something else. The back leg looks a lot like a honeybee to me. This abdomen looks like nothing I've seen before with those 3 big orange patches. So that's kind of cool. Wait, go back to that one. It looks like there's a bee leg sticking out of the flower over there, so that's weird. This one is clearly a honeybee, and then the third one, also a honeybee. So just out of curiosity, let me just see, what if we say add a fly to the flower? I've never tried this one yet, so adding a fly to the flower. Flies can be important pollinators too. I call them accidental pollinators. They're not actively gathering pollen. And that's pretty good. There's a big house fly, another fly, and another fly. So it does flies pretty well. Let me just try one other thing. Instead of saying a carpenter bee, I'm going to give it the genus of carpenter bee. Genus of carpenter bees are Xylocopa. So add a Xylocopa to the flower. Let's just see what it does with that. I don't know if it even knows what Xylocopa is. It'd be interesting to try in ChatGPT and ask it if it knows what a Xylocopa is. I'm guessing it would. So here we have something weird going on. On the left, we have some kind of a bee that does look like a native bee based on the hair colors and patterns. On the right, it's almost like a smashed bee. It's like, I don't know, just weird pieces of a bee. So neither of those are Xylocopa. This one is kind of closer to Xylocopa, but Xylocopa don't have very much hair on them, and that looks kind of like it has velvety hairs on it, but at least it's all black, so that's pretty close. And then here, if I was going to, I don't even know what's going on with this one, but if I was going to say those were fuzzy pictures of bees, like if someone sent this to me, I would guess that maybe this one on the right is a mining bee, an andrina, and this one on the left, I don't even know what that is, some other smashed kind of creature. So interesting. The AI doesn't do very well for adding a bee to the flower. What if we say add a fairy to the flower? Let's just see what it does. So fairy bees are one of my favorite kinds of bee, the small, cute perdita that people call fairy bees. And there is a creepy looking fairy on the flower. Kind of scared to see what's next. Okay, so that's some kind of a fairy praying mantis thing. And that is artificial intelligence at its worst, I would say. Anyway, cool program. The Photoshop does some neat things. Let me just try add a Corvette. Is that how you spell Corvette? Let's just see what it does. I'm just curious. Obviously, it's not very good at insects, but maybe it's good at cars. Or not. Did I spell Corvette wrong? Let's just see what else it's doing here. That looks like a boat. I don't know what that is. Let's see. Maybe I can say add a Prius because I know how to spell that. Weird. I don't know what it thinks that is, but apparently it's a misspelled Corvette. That is adding some kind of a flower. Interesting. And some beetles. What if I just put a Prius car? So there's a window of a car. There, that's more what I'm looking for, but that's not a Prius. There. So anyway, weird program. Play around with it. I don't know what else to say other than that was an interesting experiment. Thanks for watching.